With the tragic death of George Floyd, that senseless act of murder, and then seeing the result of people responding with anger and rage and hatred, and then people responding to them with anger and rage and hatred, it makes us wonder how, as believers and followers of Jesus Christ, to respond to this. Scripture informs us with many words from God on this. One that comes to my mind that's very powerful is Romans 12:21. And it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Part of what that means is that God doesn't want us to take revenge on those who harm us or hurt us. And we see a lot of that happening today in our country, a lot of revenge going on from many different sides. But God says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with what? With good. A friend of mine named Dave was a missionary in Ethiopia, and he told me that that was a verse that he had his kids memorize, and they repeated it over and over again. And when his kids would kind of be nasty to the other kid and his family, they would repeat that verse. They would talk about it. And he said that was put to the test in his life when he was running a refugee camp in Ethiopia. The camp had about 20,000 people, and he was in charge of this whole thing. And there was one man in particular who was actually on his team to help him, who tried to sabotage many things that he was doing. Of course, he was there to try to help these people and do what was good and right, but there was a man on his team that tried to bring down anything that he was building up. And it was really frustrating to him, and he tried many different ways, talking to him about it, trying to work with him through it, but the man kept resisting him, and it made it worse and worse. And finally, as he was praying about it, he thought about, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And so he prayed and thought, what do I do, Lord, to do good to this man? So he asked people who knew him well, and he said, what's something that would show true love to this guy? And they said, you know what? He really needs a backpack. So he thought, well, I'll go and get him a great backpack and give it to him. So that's exactly what he did. And the result was that this man from that point on was now on his team, and he was working with him rather than tearing things down. So here's my question to us. In this state of affairs in our country right now, how can we, by God's grace and help, overcome evil with good rather than with revenge, with violence, with hatred, with anger? How can we overcome it with good? That's something we need to be praying about, isn't it?